One, welcome to Black and White. My name is Tony Loop. One of the issues I wanted to mention, and I'll keep this one real brief, is on the big scale of governments, the United States government has to work with other governments. We have to. Iraq, Libya, Italy, Russia, North and South Korea. The world has gotten so small, no one can be excluded. And we all need to figure out, it's going to happen. Whether we talk about it on the economic scale or the political scale, any way you want to look at it. As a world, a government must deal with these people, with everybody else. So the question is, how do we deal with people who may be doing things we don't necessarily agree with? For example, in Libya, or let's take North Korea. North Korea is an easy one. North Korea has a leader installed. Most of the people are poor. They have a military. They dump tons of money on military, while the people are not doing well. Large poverty rate, and they may be doing strange deals with other people regarding nuclear weapons that could really have bad consequences for the entire world. So as a government, the United States, how do we make deals with these people, and how do we handle that? Is it the necessity rule that, okay, we have to deal with them, sometimes for the better goal? For example, the easy example, you take the Mujahideen, Al-Qaeda in Pakistan, in Afghanistan. Sorry, Pakistan. But they're in the mountains. So, the tribal regions. You take that, the large scale, you look at it. When we were against Russia, the USSR, the Soviet Union, we provided weapons for the freedom fighters, right? And so, we took a group and we funded them. And we do this all the time. The CIA does it all the time. The United States government does it all the time. We have the School of the Americas. We train, I'm not going to say we train dictators, but we train usually military personnel on how to handle large-scale populations. I don't want to say revolts, insurrections, however you want to term it. But that's what we do as a country. And we know as a country that yes, there are a lot of things going on in the world that most people would be against. Most people, would prefer not to do. But you got to go back to that old saying where, the freedoms and liberties each individual enjoys when they're at home sleeping at night is because there's some guy out there who's doing stuff that nobody wants to know about. Okay, and that, until we eliminate war, you're going to have that. There's always going to be some group who thinks the ends justify the means. And so it's going to be a vicious cycle. And we are part of that cycle. So again, to go back to Afghanistan, we funded these groups. We train them. They, for 10, 20 years, whatever it was, they hold off. I think it was 10 years. They held off the Soviet Union. Now, we're in Afghanistan fighting these people. They've held us off. It's 10 years now. So, out of necessity, how is it we can deal with this? So again, let's take the naivete, however you say it. Let's take it off the table. Let's all realistically look at the world and say, look, it's not a pretty place. There are horrors upon horrors upon horrors. War happens, people die. In war, children will die, civilians will die. I don't want war. Nobody wants war. There's some people who want war who are just disturbed. The general world does not want war. So how is it we can function in a society? How is it we can make these, how do we deal with this stuff without creating this vicious cycle? How do we, on that scale, do we no longer deal with anyone who in any way do we no longer sell weapons? Do we build weapons and don't sell any? And as soon as we get something replacement, we just destroy the old weapons? So that we're the only ones with the arsenal? But what about our allies? If we have allies in a certain region, let's say Israel, do we give them our old military armaments? Do we sell to them directly, the new stuff? Do we not sell to anybody? Do we let somebody else develop the market and begin to... China. Do we allow China to develop, and I'm not saying we can stop them, unless we control the market and we can squeeze them out using basic market principles. And maybe that's what we've been doing. Maybe the United States has been supplying everybody with weapons, and maybe we've been doing it, at cost or for free, so that on the grander scale, nobody else will be able to generate a profit and therefore continue to fund an armament industry. So maybe by maintaining that edge, by continually developing and researching weapons and technology, we can, by building this massive defense, we can keep the world safe. Because we know we send them the old weapons, we got the new ones, nobody else is building new ones. I mean, I'm just putting that out there. I mean, let's be the devil's advocate here and look at the sides and look at the reality of the world we live in. How do you prevent it? If we stop selling weapons to everyone, we stop making weapons, are we going to stop war? I don't think so. We might revert back to sticks and stones. And then eventually someone's going to build a bow and arrow and a spear and a shield. And then they're going to build a catapult. And, eventually it will continue. Like I said, there's other countries developing weapons. We're not the only ones. And, it is a lucrative business, I'm sure, whether in political capital or actual financial gain. And so how do we deal with that? How do we deal with the necessity to deal with the bad guys, the necessity to be the arms dealer of the world, the necessity to commit acts of evil for what one might perceive as the greater good? How is it we do that? How do we justify that as a society? How can we make that right? How can we solve that? How can we get around this? How can we stop everybody in the world from wanting to kill each other? When not everybody in the world wants to kill each other. No one does. It's always kill the American, kill the Jew, kill the Arab, kill the, whatever. Kill the gay guy. I mean, you could go on and on and on about one person wanting to kill another person, but they don't want to kill a person. They want to kill a color. They want to kill a religion. They want to kill a political philosophy. But no one. There's very few, and there's some sick individuals who want to go out and kill. Okay, there's some people who are just so aggressive and angry, they want to hurt somebody. Or they just don't know any other option, and so as soon as someone does anything, they freak out. How is it we deal with that? Okay, we know the nuts. We can just, they got to go to jail. That's going to happen. You're never going to solve the world of that. But how do you solve the world of groups wanting to kill each other? How do you solve the problem of groups working together, of us selling weapons to everybody? I mean, how do we deal with these issues? Because this definitely isn't black and white. And you can get weapons experts, you can get government officials, military experts, you can get the religious, the peace activists, all in this. And if anybody wants to discuss this, put them out there, put the ideas out there, because that's how you're going to change things. Let's talk about it. Okay, and let's not make it personal. Let's talk about what's really going on and why it's going on. Leave the name calling off. Leave the labels out. Okay, don't put labels out there. It's not, Israel against Palestine. Okay, I mean, let's not make it about that. Let's make it about one group of people who have land and other people who have other land, and there's occupying forces. Take the labels off and describe a situation. And it's amazing. If you take the labels off and the name calling out and you describe a situation, I can tell you people's opinions about the situation change. Because they no longer have that push that some preconceived notions. So anyway, I've rambled on now. Hopefully we can get a discussion going on the necessity of dealing with evils. Thank you for your time. My name is Tony Loop, and this is Black and White. Thank you.